All right, welcome back to Fleckus Talks, the podcast, episode 207. Today on the show, the hermit came and went, but how will these natural disasters affect voting next month? Then, in Cringe of the Week, a new app helps Gen Z be even more antisocial and weird than ever. Wait until you see what it does. Then after that, a new Kamala Harris accent just dropped again. You're not going to believe it when you hear it. And last but not least, in Urban Decay, we have a new all-time low when it comes to EBT abuse. All this and more, it's Fleckus Talks, the podcast, episode 207, ranked the best new podcast of all time!
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words, but at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Very cool.
It's Fleckus Talks, the podcast, featuring Richard Rapport. All right, one for one on the intro, as always. Guys, big news. After months of fighting with government regulators, Farmer Bill's is back. The best beef jerky I've ever had is finally available again. As show watchers, you guys know that most of the food out there is filled with processed crap and seed oils because the bad guys want to kill us. Not Farmer Bill's though. Farmer Bill's beef biltong slices and slabs are seed oil free, preservative free, and nitrate free. The biltong beef slices are basically the Wagyu of beef jerky. They're my absolute favorite, and I highly recommend the sampler 4-pack. My go-to is the sweet chili flavor. I'm gonna read you the ingredients. Beef, apple cider vinegar, salt, clove, coriander, white, black, and red pepper. That's it. No sugar, no soy, no gluten. It's very clean and very delicious. I literally eat this stuff every day. And for an added bonus, all of the beef and bison Farmer Bill's uses are raised, butchered, and shipped in America. Get yours today at farmerbillsprovisions.com. It's linked in the description. Use code FLECKUS10 for 10% off. And as always, if you send me a screenshot showing me that you made a purchase, I will follow you back on the social media of your choice. FarmerBillsProvisions.com is the website. Go there today. FLECKUS10 is the code. And last but not least, Farmer Bill is a show watcher. So it's a full 360 win. Go get your healthy snacks today. Now let's get into housekeeping.
Farmer Bill's Provisions, the perfect protein snack.
All right. Thank you to Farmer Bill's for sponsoring.
Thank you, Farmer Bill.
Hey, we took a lot of Farmer Bills with us on our evacuation.
Yeah, we did.
Had to. I've been eating a lot of it. It tastes fantastic. Got to go get some Farmer Bills. All right. Obviously, the hurricane came and went. We evacuated and we're doing the show abroad.
Yeah.
In a special location. Barely put this set together, but here we are. Hopefully it looks the same to you guys.
If you hadn't noticed, we have used this table before on the podcast, so there are some relics of the past. But, you know.
This is the New Orleans podcast table.
This is the Adjust and Improvise podcast. We're time to go mobile.
Yeah, exactly. And, from the hurricane, I actually learned a lot about Richard Rapport. There's certain people who target M&Ms in trail mix, and there's certain people who don't. They just take handfuls and get what they get.
Oh, yeah. So which one am I?
He's an M&M targeter.
I leave a lot on the table, to be honest, too. Also, I'm an almond avoider.
Yeah,
so
he dumps the almonds and the Brazilian nuts back in.
Yeah.
So when you're in the bottom third of the trail mix, there's no M&M relief. It's all just not that tasty bar nut.
And to be fair to myself, this is personal trail mix. I would never do such a thing on shared trail mix. So if you thought that was shared trail mix, I apologize to you.
And I made
because it was not. That was personal trail mix.
And I made the mistake of eating like all of our non-refrigerated dry goods before the power went out, which I also did the last hermacane. So I'm not learning a lot of lessons from the hermacane themselves.
Hurricanes, when you have to leave, you gain. There's like it's the J.D. Vance fat picture. You gain weight. And we were leaving on, what was it, Tuesday? Mm-hmm. We were leaving on Tuesday, and Fleckus is like, yo, you want a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel? He was ordering them. I'm like, already? So it goes quick, man.
You know how it goes. Like, you order Chinese food, what happens next? gotta order pizza.
I know. It's a domino falling. It's a small domino, and then all of a sudden, it's a 20-pound hurricane. So
It is. And then we just had a 20-pound hurricane, and here we are. And then, I'm probably going to have to do a 7-day fast again in the next few weeks.
exactly. But we survived, I guess. Are we going to talk about that at all? Hurricane took a sharp turn.
Yeah.
We didn't really get hit. But power is out, internet's out.
Power's out, trees are everywhere, wind blew, power lines down.
Yeah.
Water didn't surge this time,
Water didn't surge. It actually got sucked out.
which is interesting. All right, and then there was actually a funny tweet about the hurricanes that I thought we should mention early in the show.
Stop naming these hurricanes after mild-mannered white men. Hurricane Quan would have me packing all my shit.
There you go, exactly.
Yeah.
But we can never have a Hurricane Ladarius.
Why?
Because you can't attribute anything negative to black people, even though, on average, Ladariuses are probably more destructive than Miltons.
Yeah, for sure. Milton is particularly corny, like a particularly corny one. So if you lost your house to Milton, it would be like, Milton? You have to remember, Katrina, right? Hurricane Katrina, it's just like a mind game. It's in everyone's head. Imagine if you remembered Milton for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Kind of, it should be Ladarius.
It should be.
Ladarius, fuck, I lost my house to Ladarius.
What's the reason that the namers of the hurricane aren't using Ladarius? Are they trying to say that Ladarius isn't a real name?
Ooh.
That ain't right. Yeah, Ladarius ran through the neighborhood and everything got wrecked. That would make sense. I saw a lot of people in this hurricane using Flex Seal.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff on the infomercials, Flex Seal. And this one's kind of a bit, and it may be in poor taste, but let it play.
Everybody likes to wonder if the Flex Seal hurricane-proof goop works. And it did. It even withstood the fire that came after.
Yeah, so the Flex Seal is a good move.
That's actually good marketing. Flex Seal held up during a fire. But yeah, I saw some people ratchet strapping their roofs down. I saw some redneck engineering, and people don't post follow-ups enough. We can't check in again after it. So
Lots of Florida shit.
Flex Seal, we're gonna rank that mostly false right now, but we'll see.
I was impressed with what I saw Flex Seal wise. And then Florida did the right thing too with they had shelters for everybody, but then if you're a sex offender, this is where you're supposed to go instead of the shelter.
Sheriff's office will ensure that is a safe environment for anyone that comes there. Anyone that comes in will be checked to make sure that they are not a fugitive and not wanted, not a sex offender. If you are a predator, you are not allowed at the rimfire shelter. If you are designated under Florida law as a sex predator and you need shelter, you need to go to the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention Facility. That's the county jail on Justice Lane.
So if you're a sex offender, you can go spend the night in jail.
Makes sense to me. And every time you look when Florida, or seeing if other states do something, or Florida, it's always just Florida using common sense. Sex offenders can't be with the elderly and the children and everything like that. So you love to see it, right?
Big time. And then Kamala did a press conference a couple days ago about the hermacane. And she kind of realized, I think during it, that it was a live broadcast. And she tries to signal to her team. Look what she says.
Flood. We really got to watch those areas and those communities. So it takes quite a while for that water to drain.
It's like what you do in middle school during the test or something. You cover your mouth. I guess the whole point of that was to tell her team it was a live broadcast. Maybe they're used to doing pre-recorded broadcasts that they can edit themselves.
Like the 60-minute interview?
That's what I think happened there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, guys, it's not what we thought. We were planning on just taking this interview, slicing it up, and sending it back to be released. But we got her live.
Yeah.
And she kind of showed her cards.
And she was trying. She was trying to insert herself, trying to call Ron DeSantis and stuff, and doing a little of this and that. And it's like, lady, you're not really in power right now. Joe Biden was taking the calls. And it seems like the Joe Biden-Kamala beef is heating up. He's like, I already called him. He's getting kind of that dementia anger. I already talked to Ron. And, Kamala's just obviously angling for good PR or, FaceTime, right?
Yeah, Joe Biden's becoming our guy.
He, I think, endorsed Trump, Joe?
He's getting red-pilled. He's getting more dementia, and he's forgetting all of the things that he's involved in, all the propaganda, and he's kind of just like, oh, that Trump guy, not so bad.
Yeah, the TV in his White House bedroom is stuck on Fox News, and he doesn't know how to change the remote. So he's just kind of going to become our guy.
Exactly. Lieutenant Dan, he was a Tampa local who rode the storm out in a boat.
Yeah.
He really stood out. He went really viral because he was staying. But there was one clip that I thought would be important to show on the show. Can you let it rip?
Catch up with an individual who is riding it out on his boat. He's refusing to leave. What would you say to individuals like that who did not evacuate from zones A and B?
Well, that would probably take you right back to the statement that I made with Caitlin the other day. And we have tried so many times with that individual to get him off of that boat, and the officers will eventually just take him into custody and for his own good, because he's not going to survive in a sailboat in the bay with anywhere from 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. So,
Are you saying he would be arrested?
well, for Baker Act, for his own protective custody. And it may be.
So that's
past the
interesting.
point.
I'm no fan of Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, I don't really know him or care about him. But if he wants to die in a hurricane, that's his right.
That's his right as an American. And this is the mayor of Tampa talking about Baker acting him for what? He's not crazy. He knows the surge is coming. He's just a little fucked up.
Let him do what he wants.
If he wants to die, he's going to die on his boat. It's called going down swinging, and it's American as it gets.
It's as American as it gets. We saw that movie. Remember that movie where he goes up the wave and comes back?
Yeah. What movie
Perfect
was
Storm.
that?
Perfect Storm.
Yeah, I was going to say, what movie? Mark Wahlberg, right?
Mark Wahlberg, Perfect Storm, the other guy.
I think Mark Wahlberg doesn't make it back after that, though, brother.
But that's his right.
That's his right to go right into the perfect storm on a Boston shipping vessel.
You got a broken freezer full of tuna.
Yeah.
It's a big payday. So that clip stood out to me because it really is his right to die in a hurricane. And if the government is going to say, because there's a disaster, we're going to kind of like temporarily take your rights away.
That's what a lot of Democrats are up to, right?
It's eerily familiar.
Yeah.
Where now the government could create disasters to take your rights away, which we all know is what they do.
And that's the thing with they take a law, the Baker Act, which is for severely mentally disturbed people, and they're like, well, we're just going to apply it here because nothing matters and we're in charge.
We know best.
Yeah.
We're going to take you into custody. We know best.
And then the guy didn't even die. He survived. He's fine.
Yeah. So the mayor of Tampa,
Ooh, you were going to step on everyone's rights like that for nothing?
Exactly. And then we had Joe Biden do a press conference. He was addressing some of the rumors that the government controls the weather.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather.
Well, if you believe that everything Joe Biden says is a lie,
ooh,
the government controls the weather.
Yeah, if you're on inverse Biden and you have to go for everything. And that's the thing, too. It's like, oh, yeah, it's so crazy. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the government controls the weather, but, pay more taxes and you have to drive an electric vehicle so we can fix the weather, right?
That's a good point, too.
So,
and then also all those patents of cloud seeding and weather machines. No one made those.
Forget about that. Yeah, it's
from 40 years ago. No one ended up making those.
And didn't that cloud seeding contribute to all that Dubai flooding recently too?
Yeah.
But yeah, we can control the weather. And again, the climate change thing, all these hurricanes coming so quick, it's climate change. Democrats obviously love a big nebulous thing they don't have to really get into the nitty-gritty details on. They could just attribute it to it and then say see, we told you. And if there were no hurricanes, they wouldn't mention anything. So
that's a good point.
It's just that weird, two-way go where they say if it happens, it's because of that, and if it doesn't, we don't mention it, right?
Yeah. And obviously the hurricane responses so far, in my opinion, have been kind of a disaster all over, especially North Carolina. Mm-hmm. They sent a whole pallet of electric chainsaws to North Carolina, an area that has no power.
Yeah.
And here we have the picture of that.
Yep. So, I mean, and to be fair, you could use them on generators and stuff like that, but it's just kind of
or they're disposable. You use them once until the battery's out, you throw it away, you get another one.
You get 1 hour of chainsawing and then it's over.
That would be the same efficiency as the government, so it's not that crazy.
True.
And I'm wondering, I see stuff like this, and I see how bad FEMA is reacting to all these natural disasters, and it makes me wonder, are they purposely reacting poorly? Are they purposely not trying to solve the problem? Why would anyone do that? Well, as we all know, there's an election in 3 weeks. How are the disaster areas going to be affected when it comes to voting? There was a Fox report about exactly that in North Carolina.
Evening, Jesse. They're talking about major changes in the voting process. Now, this is, they say, designed to help displaced voters in the Tar Heel state not only cast their ballots, but also make sure they have their voices heard this November. However, some Republicans are expressing deep reservations about the plan because of concerns about voter integrity. Now, the changes were approved by unanimous vote by the bipartisan board, coming just 10 days before early voting begins in the battleground state, and even as mail-in voting is already underway. Now, a couple of the changes I want to tell you about, including this: voters in the 13 counties that have been heavily affected by Hurricane Helene will now have more ways to obtain and deliver absentee ballots. By the way, more storms coming possibly. Voters in
easier access to absentee ballots, more time to apply for ballots, drop off anywhere in the state, assistance teams to help collect those ballots.
And then the drop off anywhere in the state is interesting because, in the situations where there's a voter turnout that exceeds the registered voters, so like 110% voter turnout, you're now going to have that more often because people are going to be sending their ballots in at other parts of the state.
Yeah.
And the part that the area in North Carolina where people got wiped out is a very red area. So there's a lot of people who probably won't even show up to vote because they have nothing to go back to. Maybe they left the state. They're not going to go all the way back just to vote. So it's very sketchy, and obviously it is in a very red area. And that kind of, when I see that, it doesn't smell right. But then Jason from the All In podcast would go, well, why would the government use a disaster to try and steal an election?
So true. So true. And you know what? I mean, there's this certain thing. There's voter integrity. There's no chain of custody on a ballot. There's no official, like, oh, you hand it here and then this happens. It's just a piece of paper with writing on it, When we're the side who wants IDs to vote, and they're the side who's, obviously this is bipartisan and an extenuating circumstance, but just send it anywhere, fucking anywhere.
I'll take it in.
Take one tomorrow. Here, take two. That's basically the energy, right?
That is the energy. And then there's also reports that more hurricanes are coming. So if they keep hammering areas, especially red areas, which is also Western Florida, with hurricanes and disasters, I think you could get voter turnout to go down in automatically red areas, which could be interesting. Because if you look at the polling now, there's all these breakdowns of which swing states Trump needs and Kamala needs and which ones are close.
Trump's ahead in every swing state, basically.
He's ahead in every swing state.
Or even.
And then electoral college-wise, he's getting over 270 at this point. But then if you steal a state that was kind of automatically red and no one's really accounting for in the and when they put this together, it kind of could make sense and be a little peek behind the curtain when it comes to what their plan is, maybe to steal a red state that had recent natural disasters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the end of our hurricane section. We're going to move on. Before we get into the politics section, we have some good news. It looks like KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, is a show watcher because she's been henchman maxing.
Yeah. And this is a true henchman maxing. She's like a henchman for the administration, literally by definition, and she got the pinstripe suit.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So she obviously watches the show. She skips Cringe. She's a lesbian, so she skips Cringe. But she likes Urban Decay, I hear.
Yeah, she's in the zoot suit here. That's a good Halloween costume if you'd like to be KJP. So I'm glad to know she's a show watcher and she's henchman maxing. We told everyone to do that.
Yeah.
And only a few people were listening.
I know.
So let's get into our politics section. Tim Waltz is doing bows now.
Yeah. Full bow,
which he probably learned in China, a place he's been a million times.
Yep.
And Kamala has also been displaying some Eastern tendencies as well. She did an interview the other day, and she has a brand new accent.
Have empathy, man?
Yes.
For the suffering of other people. Have sense of purpose?
Is that Indian?
What the hell? I don't even know. I sense some Jamaican in there.
Irish?
Which she is. Yeah, Jamaican Irish. It was Jamaican Irish 50-50. I don't know what that was, but wasn't she drunk on that show too? Wasn't she chugging beers on that show?
Yeah, she was drinking a Miller Lite.
Trying to be more relatable?
It sounded Indian to me, but now that you say Jamaican Irish, I think that clicks.
Yeah.
And it could be proof that she's a lizard in a skin suit, because a lizard brain might say, these are all acceptable accents that humans use every day.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that every human has one, and then they only use that.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
again, she's just tone switching to Irish, Jamaican, and Eastern Indian. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And people online have been trying to make fun of Trump for the way he talks. There's like this new TikTok trend where they say Trump talks like a teenage girl.
And to be fair, I don't think they're making fun. I think they're just kind of saying he could be a teenage girl. This is kind of how they talk. So,
Well, we're going to play them. We have 3 clips here. They're quick. We're going to play them all.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run.
That's pretty good. Pretty true.
The people of India are going crazy that President Obama was constantly chewing gum. And then on top of that, he took it out of his mouth, put it back. You can't do it. It's disgusting.
And last one.
Problem with Ron DeSanctimonious is that he needs a personality transplant, and those are not yet available.
And he
Yeah, so those are funny to me.
I think that's true. I think they're onto something. Was Trump a teenage girl in a past life or something? Or is he just kind of down with that catty tone?
He has a certain type of tone. And then like when you do these social media posts and TikToks about it, it's like you're kind of poking fun at him, but you're also on his side because it's Trump being authentic.
Yeah, it's free PR almost in a way.
Yeah, and it's him being him. That's how he talks. It's kind of funny. You post it, everyone's laughing, but they're not like against Trump. When you see the Kamala fake accents, that's not authentic. It's her being unreal. And then when you poke fun at it or call it out, you're like against her.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference when it comes to the 2 candidates.
There's definitely, Kamala definitely has an authenticity problem, and, she's a chameleon. And she has been the whole time. That was an early criticism of hers, and she hasn't really improved or anything. So
imagine sitting her down and trying to give her notes like, hey, you should try to be more authentic. And
Well,
then like that puts you in a spot where you're like, start saying and doing weird things to be more authentic. And that's like the opposite of authenticity.
Exactly. If you're coached too much, then you become a totally different person. And I think that's the problem. She's ping-ponging off of like this coaching thing. But
just be yourself.
Yeah. What am I? She starts looking at her hands. Who am I? But here's an example of one where she kind of should have played the game a little bit, but she didn't at all. Well, look at this question and answer.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
He turned it into the best ad. Just a 20-second banger. Doesn't have to even say anything. Just here's her own words. She's responsible. I'm Donald Trump.
Dude, the women on The View gave her the biggest layup of all time. Would you change anything? And she goes, you could tell she hadn't even thought about it. She goes, no, it hasn't really crossed my mind. And I've been in on most of the decisions.
Yeah, this is all me, baby.
Crazy.
Absolutely cooked. And then Trump just made it in that. I love it. Krasenstein, Krasenstein, him and his brother, they do polls, they get smoked.
Yep.
I like to just show every poll they do and how they get smoked every time. 28 days left before the election. Who are you voting for? 80%. Donald Trump, 80%.
100,000 votes.
Pussy.
Yeah.
Can't get one. So we're still in our politics section. A lot of people are now realizing from both sides that are kind of immigrating to Trump, they are realizing that if Trump doesn't win, we're fucked.
Yeah.
That's true for a lot of people in a lot of ways. Elon Musk did an interview with Tucker that basically summed that up as well.
If he loses, man, what? You're fucked, dude.
I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
They're laughing about it.
Yeah.
But that's the grim reality. And obviously things are ramped up, I think probably more than ever. We said that in 2020, and I think it's even more now in 2024 with how everyone is divided and how it's not even the right wing. Like the right wing looks at the left wing like they're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The left wing looks at the right wing like we're evil.
Yeah.
And when someone's evil, what do? You have to jail them. You have to kill them. You have to get them out of society. You have to degrade them. You have to dehumanize them. There was a clip from a professor in Kansas, middle America, right?
Yeah.
And listen to what the professor says when describing right-wingers, I guess is what he's talking about.
Guys are smarter than girls. You got some serious problems. That's what frustrates me. There are going to be some males in our society that will refuse to vote for a potential female president because they don't think females are smart enough to be president. We could line all those guys up and shoot them. They clearly don't understand the way the world works. Did I say that? Scratch that from the recording. I don't want the deans hearing that I said that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's joking.
Yeah, maybe he's joking. And then what's the bit? What's the punchline?
Kill your political opponents.
Execute your political opponents. That's top tier humor. There's the pyramid of humor. Just saying I'll kill you. That's the best punchline there is. And he's out of breath. He immediately knows he's wrong. It's just a weird scenario where like this guy couldn't help but say it.
Yeah.
So it's not humor. It's just a threat. And you're not going to be the one who does it. You're out of breath, walking around, pacing, teaching college students, right?
I don't know how many Dracos you have.
And then, when the Hamas types overwhelm, when Kamala wins and the Hamas types overwhelm America and they start being like, who's our allies? Who's our enemies? They're going to see a middle-aged white guy and they're going to shoot you in the pit.
Straight white guy, there's no place for you in the utopia.
Exactly, dude. You don't have a job in the utopia. You're in the body pit.
Unless you're gay or lesbian.
Yeah.
And then you start being gay.
Yeah.
And then
start acting like it.
Yeah. It's, hey guys, glad Trump didn't win, huh? And then CNN had an interesting back and forth with one of their commentators talking about Trump. She was basically earlier in the segment comparing him to Hitler, and look how it played out.
I think that we need to take this seriously and understand where his inspiration comes from. And today, of all days, it is just really savage that this is who he's quoting and that he's quoting Hitler.
Aisha, for you to compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler on 10/7 is just shameful. Number one, what he was talking about are murderers, people who came into this country and murdered Americans, okay? So let's not try to string together a bunch of quotes that weren't put together. They're different points in time to try to make it look like something he didn't say.
As a black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his, is he going to attempt to exterminate me
why do you
when
believe
he gets
that, Aisha?
elected?
Why do you
Because
believe
he's
that?
damn near said it. That's why, David. That's why.
Because he's
okay, and I'm not
has he
going to be
said that,
lectured by some white man who has no idea what he's talking about and is trying to rewrite history here.
Nice. So you compare Trump to Hitler, and then you say, I'm not going to be lectured by some white man, which is basically, it's ironic, because now you're talking about like race-based politics.
Yeah.
But if I say I'm not going to be lectured by some black lesbian, I get in trouble. Media Matters writes an article.
And to be fair, like I kind of think we do actually get away with that. I'm not going to be lectured by some black lesbian. So it's interesting.
So true.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically the extent of the commentators who get on CNN. Like this woman is paid maybe or not. And it's like, okay, what's the playbook today? Call him Hitler. Then bring up that you're a black lesbian, then shit on white guys. And it's like, they don't even see the humor in their own positions, right? Like immediately call someone Hitler, then immediately segment the population by race and gender. Great.
Exactly. And then her saying he damn near said it. Near's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Exactly. And this is obviously, we've done the whole thing with the assassination attempt and everything. Like, the media was going to tone it down. And then this lady gets on and starts yelling about Hitler.
And these are the types who are radicalized and are going to be in charge of sending us to camps.
Yeah.
And deciding who lives and who goes on the train.
You think she lets the white out-of-breath professor off the train, or she just shuts the gate on him and says, nah, you're going too?
I'm ready to face her. And I'll just say, shoot me! Shoot me!
Put it in the gun.
All right, we're moving on to our last page of housekeeping, which is my page of housekeeping, where I can say whatever I want.
Okay.
Before we get there, make sure you use the opportunity to go to the post, help us juice the algo, leave a like, leave a comment again, then start yapping. That's important. Old episodes, P.O. Box.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
All of the above.
First things first, Richard Ratboy.
Yeah.
You made a good point on Twitter the other day. You know, there's always the debate with the baker. It keeps happening, but the baker needs to make gay cakes.
Yeah, the Colorado guy who's in a constant legal battle because he doesn't want to make a gay wedding cake.
This guy just wants to have a cake shop.
This guy looks back on his life and he's like, holy shit, the whole fucking time I was just fighting about gay cakes in court.
And about not making just like business I didn't do.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I made a cake for Ronald Reagan. It's like, I didn't make cakes for gays and that's all I fucking heard about. So you made a good point.
Well, I said this guy should just say yes, then make him the absolute shittiest cake on earth. Like,
swap salt for sugar.
Yeah, salt for sugar, like boxed cake, you know, and then like put it in the box and then do this to the box.
So here you go.
Here you go. Here's your gay cake.
$100.
No courtsies, no subpoenas.
Oh, you're not going to come back next year because the cake tastes so bad?
Yeah.
Oh, that's no good.
Tough break. Enjoy your trans wedding, though.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't know. It's probably a principles thing. That's more of a bit. The guy probably really just doesn't want to get forced to do anything. So
He's not going to take the advice.
All right.
Next clip is a girl. This has been going viral. You guys have probably seen her, who got a you-know-what injury. And she posted this. We'll let that play.
Look at my face. They haven't done a thing with giving me an anxiety pill. And they want to give me melatonin. Someone help me.
Yeah, so that's intense.
Yeah.
Dark. And I just want to make this point. When it comes to progressives, a lot of progressives will get mad at clips like this and say, oh, this is so rare. You can't discount vaccines because of a few adverse reactions. Most people don't have those reactions. But then also those same progressives, when they argue for abortion, will say rape and incest. Oh, rape and incest. You have to have abortion. You want someone to carry a baby who's a child and was raped by their stepdad or their dad. And then they'll also like use the most rare example for why abortion is so necessary. And it's like, obviously, it doesn't jive. There's some hypocrisy there, but it doesn't matter. They'll just say whatever they want that fits their need at the time in that argument.
Yeah, we like the 0.1% here, but we're going to ignore it over there, the 0.1%. Right?
Exactly. So I just wanted to make that point because a lot of people are going to be talking about that clip and that girl who had obviously the bad reaction. But don't forget that when they say rape and incest for abortions, because those are not, obviously, 99% of abortions are not that. It's just inconvenience.
Yep.
All right, next, we have a dog turning into a person.
Do we?
I don't know. You tell me. I see a dog. He's running. Here he goes. And then he, dare I say, animorphs. Animorphs.
Yeah.
And I think Animorphs maybe tried to warn us.
Oh, okay.
Remember that book? We have a picture of one of the books.
Yeah.
There
guy
it
with
is.
the dog, he's a golden retriever.
You know, that's...
My favorite is the third step in the Animorphs. I like when they're half and half.
I'm just a little fucked up.
I'm fucked up. I'm this guy from the video. But yeah, it's always a bad camera, you know? It's always like Mexico, too, or something.
That's where they live. They're cryptids.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All
so Animorphs try to warn us. The idea for Animorphs doesn't come from nothing, is the point.
Yeah. All right. All right, you got me there.
All right, we're going to end housekeeping with some uplifting clip. This guy does a really cool party trick and lands a flip in the house.
Unbelievable.
Oh, into the fish tank. Into the fish tank. Very mad homeowner friend.
What? And what's the payoff? You land a flip in the house and everybody goes, oh, cool, for 2 seconds, and then they go chug a beer.
And then if you can land a flip, you just flip. If you're doing a first jump bounce on a wood floor, you're not flip savvy enough.
You're a flip expert, huh?
Yeah.
You're a big flip guy?
Well, I know the science, and that's why I don't do it.
I agree.
I know I can't, but if I was going to try, I'd probably wreck part of the house that's in front or behind me.
All right, know thyself.
Go through the floor.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of housekeeping. We're moving on to Cringe of the Week. All right, our first clip of Cringe of the Week. Dystopian tech is on the rise. This section, these next, 2 or 3 clips are about dystopian tech on the rise. This is a new app that helps Zoomers walk around the store so they don't have to talk to anybody. It's directions for inside.
Turn right in 1 foot. Turn right now. Zoomer, go. In 28 feet, you've arrived. And it's taking you to the Mr. Beast candy.
Great.
Here it is. Whole
it.
screen goes green.
And then you have the thing on your glasses that say, like, raise your arm, put your hand out, wrap your fingers around it, bring it close to you.
Take the chocolate.
And then it directs you to the cashier.
Yeah. So huge day, huge advancement in tech for 80 IQ people.
Yeah,
for mouth breathers.
Exactly. And I was talking to Medic Sisyphus about this. It's like we're obviously with how progressive things are getting, you interact with people less and less.
Yeah.
And if you zoom out as to why that happens, it's because like anything that's a group, like a men's group or sports or whatever, or racial groups, they're forced to accept everybody. So then the group no longer exists. So then there's no groups anymore. So people are more and more isolated, and then they're not talking to people. And then talking to people becomes a big deal. And then they need apps like this to go to the store without having to say, hey, excuse me, sir, where's Mr. Beast candy?
Yeah.
Aisle 8. Cool. You look up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Aisle 8. Okay, it's in here. Like they can't do that.
It's probably with the other candy. I remember it from my 10 other trips to this Target, in the candy aisle.
But they just go through one time. And it happens too with driving directions. I noticed a lot of younger people like don't even know their way around their own neighborhood. Like we move around and we get to a new place. It takes you like a few weeks, and you kind of learn the main roads, the crossroads, which goes into town, which goes to the highway, and then you learn it.
Yeah.
There's people that are every day leaving their house to go to the grocery store with directions on Google Maps.
Crazy.
They can't just see the bigger picture of like, well, where am I going? What are the main roads? They just right, left, right in a mile, and they don't like remember it or put it together.
And I guess it's probably a multi-billion-dollar industry catering to stews who can't think and need Mr. Beast candy. So,
how would get Mr. Beast candy?
I mean, idiocracy we are trending towards. So
exactly. And then there's another one in AI that can you read it?
For anyone who's wondered what an Apple intelligence summary of a breakup text looks like, and then it's from Maddie, and it says, no longer in relationship, once belongings from the apartment.
Thanks, AI.
So if you're too dopamine addicted and you're scrolling on TikTok and you're hitting the jewel and doing everything, then you can just let Apple sum it up for you that she needs her stuff back and you're done.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then our last clip of dystopian tech on the rise is a Venezuelan home invasion related, and listen to how they interact with the person they're home invading.
Run down this story. Brooke, what you find out?
Bill, the details in this case, let me tell you, are just horrifying. This woman says she was held at gunpoint inside of her own home by these 4 guys. She says they tied her up, they threatened to cut her fingers off and beat her with a pistol. We now know that these 4 men who were charged are legal migrants from Venezuela. This woman lives alone. She's in her 50s, just pulled in her garage in the upscale Briarwood neighborhood of Dallas. Police say the 4 suspects approached her, forced her inside at gunpoint, ransacked her home, stole money and jewelry. According to police records, the suspects only spoke Spanish and communicated through Google Translate.
So using the Google Translate to tell someone you're going to cut their fingers off, give us the money.
Yeah, imagine waiting for the I'm going to cut your fingers off unless you do what we tell you to be translated with the app and then turned over to her.
And then reading it and going, oh no.
Shit. Is that real? Did they really do that?
You guys looking for your lost dog? No, my fingers are going to get cut off and you're going to tie me up.
So, that's what big tech is up to. That's what it's being used for. Home invasions, bringing retarded people to the candy aisle, and summing up that your girlfriend is leaving you.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, this is just the dumb portion of big tech. I was watching another video the other day of a blind girl wearing the Meta glasses, and it was like reading stuff out to her, and it actually
she could see.
It was like this is the dog food aisle, and like telling her.
Oh, good.
So there's applications and stuff, but when the lowest common denominator, when you have to use tech for them, you get the stew shit like this.
Big time.
It ends up in Cringe of the Week, and it's not very helpful for the stock market.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Speaking of stew, Cringe of the Week shit.
Okay.
Next, we have a couple situations where like liberal progressives and liberal progressive women and then liberal progressive homosexuals are kind of supporting people's delusions. This first person is a trans comedian who is not like a leftist trans comedian, and listen to how the crowd reacts when she tries to do her bit.
She. It's a man in a dress, guys.
All right. I'm going to end on this one. I don't know if you guys are going to like it. But I'm going to be brave. I'm going to be very brave. I am trying to be like, I'm trying to be like fat liberation, like my body's sexy at any size, whatever. Hell yes. Thank you. I'm also trying to lose weight because I'm trying to get bottom surgery. And yeah, and doctors say I can't do it until I lose some weight. Which is, thank you, please stop. I don't trust you. Doctors are saying I need to lose weight to get bottom surgery. Please stop.
That's enough. But the lady yelling, "You're hot, you're hot," and
you're a 260-pound guy in a dress. You're hot.
There's a girl going, "You're hot, you're hot," and comedy obviously is based in truth, and then liberal womanhood is based in like enabling delusions.
Yeah,
and those two. It's like a 90-degree angle or whatever.
Never the twain shall meet. Yeah, you can't,
perpendicular.
You can't be shouting at the man in a dress who's way too overweight to get the bottom surgery that he's hot.
Yeah.
But there's a woman willing to do it at every turn, right?
Exactly. And then the reason that this even is able to exist in the first place, like this woman saying you're hot and like living outside of reality, is because in America, times are so relatively good compared to the past, where you're not like fighting for food, you're not getting physically assaulted, you're not getting robbed. Like times are good enough where
the villages aren't getting raided.
Yeah, you can like times are good enough where you can play pretend.
Oh yeah.
And then like if times get bad and you're busy like hiding from the warlords or the cartel, you don't really have time to go to a comedy show and tell a trans person that they look great.
Yeah, and for example, that kind of happened in Ukraine when everyone was fleeing and they were checking people's CACs to make sure you didn't have to go back to the front line and fight Russia, right?
Yeah, but exactly. But if times were good, it would be like, oh, you're a lady.
You're hot.
You're a man. You're hot. But when times are bad, nah, buddy, we're not doing that anymore. We need you with the AK-47 in the front line.
Yeah, get on the manufacturing line, please.
And this happened in another clip as well on like a reality show.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but we can just let it rip.
No, you want to preface this? We're not making fun of this girl, right?
Yeah.
This girl has like some sort of disorder or something that made her get fat. I think it's called My Big Fat Fabulous Life or something.
Okay.
It's the first time I've heard of it, so it's not
close because all my notes are making fun of the girl for being fat. We're not going to do that.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
See, and that's the frustrating thing. It's not that I can't get the second date. I can't get the first. You know, so it's like I don't know what I'm supposed to modify because it's not like I'm getting there and then getting turned down. Like no one's giving me a chance. Is there something about me that is so wrong that people won't even give me a first date? You can tell me.
It's not wrong, but you're intimidating.
Why am I intimidating? Because I'm fat? Because I'm a heavy-set lady?
No, because you're so confident and smart and sexually charged.
So you see we have like the homosexuals and acting the same as women.
Yeah.
Liberal women.
So what did he do? He called her sexy and confident.
And smart, which is weird because she's saying I can't get a first date. And he's saying it's because you're too smart, even though you didn't even meet the person to show them you're smart.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing? Like, whoa, easy, Einstein.
Jeez, whoa, chill out.
If I asked about the how to get out of the atmosphere with the spaceship and the accelerating math or whatever, I'll know who to call.
Yeah. But again, it's just like this enabling thing, and it's like what someone needs almost is the truth, and what this girl needs, and like whether or not she can lose weight, it's not the point, right? It's just some guy who's willing to lie to your face, and then that's your friend, right? Doesn't seem very friendly to me. Doesn't seem like anyone's helping, right? Shouldn't the objective of a friend be to help?
Exactly, but instead, society is wrong. All of society needs to change. And until every single hot guy you like message you saying, hey, let's go on a date, we have work to do.
Yeah.
And then like, what's work to do? Knocking down straight white guys a few pegs.
And you know, and you know what, you know how guys are on dating apps? They go, they see the picture, they swipe to the second picture, and they go, she's too smart and funny.
Nope.
Swipe left. Right?
That's how it goes.
So,
all right, next, let's go to the gay guys who try to be straight. This kind of proves that theory that it's all an act.
What's up, bro? You want to ride? There's so many pretty girls here, guys. And yeah, you know.
I cannot do that.
Why, bro? Why?
No.
No, bro.
Why, bro?
No.
What's the problem, bro? Hi, miss. Can I get your number?
So it proves that they can act, but they just choose to act gay to make their dad, Trump supporters, and God mad.
I didn't know that's the angle you were going to take it. But yeah, it's so funny. They can switch between it, but then they want you to believe that the total high-pitched fake voice and like flamboyant wrist moves and hand flailings, that's the normal status. That's where they're always at. That's where they were born.
Yeah.
And we know from the show that we've talked about people coming out of anesthesia, and the gay voice, the affect is gone.
Hey, how'd I do, doctor?
Yeah.
You're back to normal, and then you do the affection after.
Yeah. The dildo was removed successfully. Your voice is normal now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. That's what I'm here for.
All right, which takes us to Pharell.
Yeah.
We have Pharrell. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Pharrell.
I was going to say Pharrell, but that's not right.
It's not Colin, baby.
It's Pharrell.
Yeah.
Here he is in 2004 on the left and then 2024 on the right. Now, I don't mean to be vulgar here, but is it possible that Diddy fucked him gay?
Yeah, I think so
too.
I don't know what his relationship is with Diddy, or the music scene is a small circle, and I think Diddy could have fucked him gay.
I think Diddy fucked him gay. And that's like a vulgar thing to say. I'm sorry. It's an adult part of the show.
Yeah.
But that's what, he's standing there in like heels with a purse.
I don't know how
Something
else,
happened.
Yeah, I don't know how else you get like
He
that.
was going like this in 2004. He's doing hand signals.
Yep. And now he's dressing like this and making music for the Minions.
Is that what he does?
Yeah. Minions movies.
They probably make you do that to get into the Minions stuff. That's all weird, degenerate sex shit too.
Yeah. Those little yellow freaky guys, those little sickos.
I don't even want to say
what they're digging
what
around
they're
in.
up to.
Yeah.
Which takes us to our next clip. There was an expose. This guy did an interview about Diddy. We've been covering the Diddy stuff a lot in Bonus Land. But this is an interesting clip. We're just going to play the beginning of it because it makes the QAnon people feel like the QAnon stuff's coming back.
Reveal everything at once. It's too shocking. If I was to release those tapes, the world would shut down. Okay? If I showed one of these tapes, I'm telling you right now, the whole music industry and Hollywood, it would just grind down like this. They're all going to start pointing at each other like this, and it's going to be bad. We've already set it up. We have multiple attorneys. We know how to do it. It's not my first rodeo. I solved the greatest murder case in history, 3 of them. I know how to do it. We're going to do it, but just going to come in pieces. And there's also ways we can, let's say, not censor it, but we can kind of soften it, right? Like the whole tape.
That's pretty good.
Anytime someone talks about, I have this, I have that, and they start teasing it out, I'm like, just show me. Yeah. I'm on the opposite end. You like it, but I'm like, you kind of lose credibility almost. Like, just show me, release the video, show me the tape.
That's true, and that's the spectrum. I think it rings true, and I think the Diddy stuff's going to be bad, and I think it can halt music in Hollywood to a stop.
Oh, I'm sure there's videos, and I'm sure there's bad shit and some evidence people have. But when you're sitting in the interview and you're in the podcast chair and you're like, you won't believe what I have.
It's all right here.
It's all fucking, here's the thumb drive. Should I plug it in? And he teases it into the computer. It's like, dude, come on.
We'll see. Let's keep an eye on it. But then QAnon also said these people are sick, and when you find out what they did, they're not going to be able to walk on the streets.
Okay, all right. So, you're on QAnon shit, and then this guy,
I wanted to come back.
Video recording of a YouTube video from that guy.
Hey, it's a clip, and it counts. All right, we're moving on to Urban Decay.
Okay.
The first clip of Urban Decay is a bad kid drives a car through a playground. Not through people, but through the playground.
Moments caught on camera. Kids on a school playground nearly hit by a stolen car. Behind the wheel of that car, a 10-year-old boy. Video here provided by Minneapolis police shows the car driving on the grass as frantic school staff try to move the kids away. What is just as shocking, police say the 10-year-old already has a lengthy criminal record. He's been arrested for auto theft twice before and listed as a suspect in 12 other cases.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Somali?
Yeah, Minneapolis. And I was talking to a medic.
Pirate tendencies?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
The kid's like, what, 12 years old, they said?
10, I think.
10? Yeah, 10. And
with multiple arrests.
The police were talking in an interview later in that clip, and they said that it's not the mom's fault.
Oh.
It's the system that failed him.
Oh, yeah. The system that should have kept him locked up, but instead they can't do anything because he's 10, so they just go, okay, go steal another, Johnny.
Pretty much. And then I was talking to Medic Sisyphus about the system idea and how that makes sense, and he said the system actually did fail him because the system isn't made to discipline juveniles.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like juvenile detention is for kids who messed up and got into trouble, then they get out. Like if you're a repeat felony criminal offender, like you should have been raised by your dad, your pastor, your uncle, your neighbor. There's a bunch of people that could have helped raise the boy. All the mom is a single mom who's got like an unruly kid. Like what can she do?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because like our legal system isn't built for that either. You can't lock up kids, but then they keep doing crimes. And it's like, how many people will this kid victimize before he's 18, does a crime and goes to jail, or goes to jail and gets let out again?
I know. And it's like you're ping-ponged. I get it. And the system does fail. And then it's like, oh, someone died at that Utah sleepaway camp where you have to go hike on the mountain. So they're closing those down too. And it's like there's nowhere to send this little piece of shit, right?
That's so true.
And he's a piece of shit, obviously, and he just does it again and again. And that it's one of the themes of Urban Decay for us is how kids are getting younger. We showed it like I think last Friday or might have even been last episode. Those kids in Chicago. And it's like, what do you even do with those kids? What is there to do? Because locking them up is extreme, and then they go to criminal U in the juvie. You know,
it's like an arbitrage where they can act freely, not get in trouble, and then just keep doing it and accelerate and get worse. And then I don't know what happens. They do something when they're 16 and they get tried as an adult. Hopefully.
Yeah, basically the cops are waiting at the end of the tunnel, which is when it's first reasonable to charge you as an adult for your felony, right?
Yeah, so exactly. So whoever they victimize as kids, sorry.
Yeah, no recourse, buddy.
No recourse. All right, next story. There was a child that was killed by a dog. Believe it or not, it was a pit bull.
Yeah, and it was actually 3 pit bulls. Babysitter charged after 1-year-old boy was mauled to death by her pit bulls. Quote, a tug of war for the baby. And a 1-year-old boy was mauled to death by a pack of pit bulls in Texas after the babysitter in charge of watching him left him alone with her teenage daughter, according to police. The baby was attacked by 3 dogs in their home in Bexar County, Behar County, I don't know what it is. One of the pit bulls busted through a bedroom door and began tearing at the baby as the teen girl tried to protect him with 2 other dogs joining in. And here's a picture of the door. So just nightmare scenario with pit bulls kind of going crazy, chewing a door. And the 13-year-old was kind of like being lauded as a hero because she was putting herself in between the baby and the dogs and trying to get help. But
she was permanently disfigured, I believe.
Yeah, she was messed up and had to go to the hospital as well. Chunks of her face or something like that. So 2 major victims here. 1 horrible adult who decided that 3 pit bulls in the house was a good idea, right? That's a non-starter already.
And the babysitter is being charged. I think you could charge the parents for leaving the parents with the babysitter with the pit bulls.
Yeah. I think there's another leg to this parlay.
There is another leg to it, too. And I wonder about the prey drive. Like, if the 3 pit bulls attacked a cat or killed a cat, I go, well, cats and dogs, you get it. You
That's
know
a
how
saying.
that is. You know, tales all this time.
Yeah.
A 1-year-old baby he kind of just sits there.
How do you get tricked into being like, okay, I need to go and thrash this right now? There's not like the 1-year-old didn't make a quick, sudden move and startle you and put you into that.
Yeah. And you have 3 pit bulls in the house. It's like you drop a plate or something. It's kind of like...
Everyone's on edge. The house fucking snaps.
It's like that movie where you have to be quiet, and when you make a sound, those bug things start running towards you.
Yeah.
It's like exactly like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a couple factors, right? If you're a parent who's sending your child to go somewhere to babysit, like you should be doing everything in your power for it to not be a pit bull household, right? And then there's something to be said for like when there's multiple pit bulls in something, just practical advice wise. You know, everybody has the story of, oh, I had 1 pit bull for years and he was fine. He was a sweetheart, right? But when you put 3 of them together, they kind of have their own little dog pecking order. And then they stop caring about the humans that much. And then this is like 1 dog snaps at the baby and then the other 2 join in. Just not a great breed, guys. We're reiterating our points.
Exactly. The fact that there's 3 of them, that accelerates everything.
They get worse in packs, for sure.
Oh, big time. They overwhelm you. They go in. They just take whatever they want. They rush out, and the cashier's just standing there like,
Is that the 7-Eleven clip?
I mixed the clips up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
They do get worse in packs,
They do get worse in packs. And then there is actually one more clip associated with the pit bulls. There's this guy who had a friend bird. He saved a bird's life, and then the bird and him are friends. And when you see the end, you're not going to be surprised.
It says, my dad's best friend is a rescued pelican who found refuge somewhere. So I guess he rescued the pelican, and now him and the pelican have some sort of relationship. He goes on him. Look at him causing this. Oh, they sleep together. They're buddies. There he is.
He's protecting him while he sleeps. They're sleeping together. Everything's going great. This is a nice little pet.
Yep. Feed him fish.
You're feeding him a fish. Now pause real quick. Now viewer discretion is advised. This pit bull is about to absolutely maul this sweet bird. And I just wanted to warn you guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
It's an uplifting clip, but that's how fast it can flip.
I know. Pitbull enters the frame, and it's 2 ways to go.
Exactly.
It can stay uplifting gold, or it can get Urban Decay very quickly, right, guys?
Every time. All right, next is a clip from New York City. A former governor of New York got stomped out by a group of people, and the guy is blind.
Yeah.
And here's the clip. So horrible, you know? He was with his son. And,
stepson, yeah.
And he's blind, and he just gets stomped out in New York City. And that's a famous person.
Yeah.
So for every famous person that has an experience like that, there's probably 1,000 normal people that had a similar experience, but you just don't hear about it because they're not the former governor.
Yeah, they're not blind in the former governor of the state they're getting stomped out in. So that's just a stomp out. It's like a tree fall in the woods scenario.
Yeah.
Like if a normal average guy gets stomped out in New York, does it make a peep? And no, because he doesn't report it. He doesn't want to be late to work. He just puts his hard hat on and forgets about it.
Sadly, the case.
Yeah.
And then we have some stats out of Sweden, which I think could apply in the United States as well.
Of course.
We have it's recidivism.
Yeah.
I know that word.
Basically, it's how much you could reduce violent crime by with a 1-strike law, a 2-strike law, a 3-strike laws. So basically it says what proportion of violent crime would be prevented if recidivism stopped after the nth conviction, right? And so basically what it's saying is the ultra-violent people in the world, the stomper-outers, the people who are doing violent crimes, they're doing so much of the violent crimes that if you arrested them and kept them off the streets after the first offense, 80% of violent crime would go away, almost 80%. And then with a 3-strike law, like if after the third time being violent, you kept them off, it would be 50% reduction in violent crime, right?
Yeah.
And then that's why it's so weird because a law in California, like the 3-strike law, remember that? The 3-strike law in California was made based on data like this. And then for some reason, progressives, liberals, whoever, they just say, oh, wow, we could reduce it like that? Is that the paper? And then they rip it up and they go, okay, we're not doing that, right?
Why are you trying to arrest black people?
Exactly. And that's another example of the 0.1%, right? When you heard about the 3-strike law in California and when it got kind of overturned or changed, the criminal justice was reformed in California. The number one story you heard about was a guy whose 3rd strike was like a weed deal with $200 worth of weed. That's the number one thing they would market and try to pull at your heartstrings. And it's well, what were the first 2? What were the first 2 felonies Mike had before he got locked up for the 3rd strike? Right? So it's another one of those it's a rape and incest for abortion. But this guy got marijuana. It's and how many were beating up an old lady and stealing her purse? Right?
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's just sad to see this data here and how easily a country or society with the will could stop violent crime, right?
Big time. All right, we're moving on to our last piece of Urban Decay, the EBT fraud or EBT abuse.
Yeah.
This woman has her child call the EBT office and listen to what she says.
I'm hungry.
Hello?
I'm hungry.
Oh, baby, how old are you?
I'm hungry.
Okay. I understand you're hungry, but where's your mother?
I'm so hungry.
Okay, baby, let's try this another way. Are you home alone?
No, I'm just hungry.
Who's there with you?
Just me and the empty refrigerator.
Oh, baby, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. If you could, please put your mother on the phone, then I can be able to help you.
My mom right here and she don't got no food stamps. And I don't want no noodles. I want a seafood boil.
I want a seafood boil.
Classic.
So is this kid cooked?
I think so.
Unfortunately, and it's not in the same way that the other 10-year-old kid driving the car through the playground is, but it's a different variation. What are the takeaway lessons this kid is learning? 1, rely on others for your basic needs and necessities like food because it's free.
Food comes from the government.
Number 2, it's good to scam that government who's giving you food.
You're going to need to angle them a little bit, right? You got to finesse it.
Yeah, and by doing that, you do the finessing by emotionally manipulating with the child.
Yeah, the third lesson, which is huge for this community, is a child gets the manipulation done much faster, right? So then, what are you going to do when you have to scam the government, which is where food comes from? You need a kid, right?
That's a good point. And then the lessons you learn from dad are dad's in jail because the police is hunting black people.
Yeah. This welfare, how to hustle the welfare conversation with mom happens right after the how to act with police because they're hunting you.
They're trying to kill you. Got to run.
Those conversations are two in the same.
Don't listen to them. They hate you.
Yeah, they go back to back, right?
And then, believe it or not, EBT is on the rise. I'm assuming a big chunk of it's probably for illegals.
Of course.
But can you read this stat out of Boston Herald?
A staggering 672,000 new EBT cards have been added to the welfare rolls in a little over a year, a tally that's intensifying calls for an audit of the welfare agency. And that's a 34% increase in the state of Massachusetts, who obviously has a ton of illegal immigrants in there. And we've been covering it, the Haitians, all the illegal immigrants are on some form of EBT. They immediately get on government assistance, right?
And that's from 2023 to 2024?
I think so, yeah.
And I'm sure 2023 was an increase from 2022. And I'm sure like the 2023 number was high as it is.
Yeah.
And now it's 35% more than that.
So like when you look at the two pillars of EBT, it's like the African Americans finessing the system and like having a kid or trying to kind of stay on as long as they can. And then illegals who just got here immediately getting on, then you're like, what is this really for? Is this really helping people who kind of go down on their luck? Or is this just all scammers and people who have never paid a cent into the tax system in their life, right?
That's a good point.
You know, social safety net doesn't really mean anything if you can just come and be like, jump into the safety net. I'm an illegal immigrant. Whoa, cannonball into the safety net.
It's supposed to be for people who like put in money over the years, then like, I lost my job. Now I'm going to get some of that money back. People are going straight to the net.
The idea of a safety net is like it's underneath a tightrope that you're walking, which is keeping a job, having, money and fending for yourself. Yeah, exactly. And then the net, these people cannonball
straight into the net.
I'm a Honduran who just got here. Let me jump on in.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Well, don't get too down or too depressed. We're moving on to Uplifting Gold, and we have great uplifting stuff today.
And before we get into Uplifting Gold, the 34% increase, all it gets you is calls for an audit.
Yeah.
There's not an automatic audit. Yeah. It's calls for an audit.
It's not even going to get me.
So get a little depressed before we get into the uplifting.
Yes. All right. Our first clip from Uplifting Gold is Trump on Andrew Schultz podcast. Very cool.
Where they, still become ambitious and successful.
So I do have good kids and 5 really wonderful children and different, very different. Yeah, they are so different. But, one thing that was in common that I did, I always used to say when I was with them or when they were leaving a room, I would drive them crazy. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. I would say that.
Did you say that to Don Jr.?
Yeah, Don's a little wild. He's a wild. He can be a little tough.
He told me a funny story.
Go ahead.
Okay. I talked to a bunch of people. I was trying to, prepare for this interview.
Right.
He told me a funny story. And he said to me, he goes, once he asked if he could have a couple of his friends over for New Year's. Was it New Year? No, it was July 4th.
Right.
On top of Trump Tower.
Right.
And you said yes. He's like, I want 5 friends. You're like, okay, I'm out of town. Go for it. He brings 200 people over to Trump Tower. Okay?
That's right.
Okay. He says that you weren't supposed to be there. You end up showing up. You hear some noise upstairs. You come up. You go, what the fuck is everybody doing here? Get the hell out of my house. He said he cleaned for the next 36 hours. And he said, to this day, you have never brought up that it even happened. And he said, I'm starting to believe it might not have happened. Yeah. So
He said that's all it happened.
Can you give him closure?
No, it happened. No, I can never give closure.
That was a good podcast.
I think the difference between that and some other Trump appearances, like Theo Vaughn or something like that, Andrew Schultz did some research for that.
Yeah.
He was digging around, sniffing around for information, and then you tee up stories like that, and you're going to have a banger, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you got 5 henchmen laughing at you. Andrew Schultz has a lot of henchmen ready to laugh laying in the lurch.
He did a good job.
Maybe we need to add a third guy who's just laughing.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Maybe a live audience.
A true henchman.
But that was a good job. Theo Vaughn, I like Theo Vaughn. I think in that Trump interview, like his humor and Trump's humor don't mesh.
Yeah, it goes like this. It goes over. 2
Theo
ships
Vaughn
passing in
will
the night.
say like a weird line, and then Trump doesn't know what you said or means, and then he doesn't really acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's like a fat baby sliding on a slip and slide, and Trump's just kind of like, "What? I'm talking about the Prime Minister of India."
The border. Yeah. Well, that's a belly button bikini bottom.
Yeah.
It's like,
what?
Is
this guy on drugs?
That's random,
Yeah.
I guess. So that's the difference. And, Theo Vaughn's more of like a certain type of way of talking humor. And then that kind of like is fun when it's fresh.
Yeah.
But then over time, you're not really like communicating properly.
You can't interview President Trump right now, please, Theo. But
Schultz
I like
is
Theo,
great.
you know?
Yeah, me too. And Schultz is great. So that was funny. Next is a guy who's an aspiring comedian.
I'm an aspiring comedian. I was wondering if I could try my new material on you and see if you like it. Okay. Why do women wear makeup and perfume? Because they're ugly and they stink.
No.
Just go, no.
That's the best reaction I've heard.
Oh, that's good. She knew it wasn't going to be good. She didn't even want to acknowledge it. She just goes, say it.
There's a certain humor to that. They're ugly and they stink, and it's 10 times funnier than the Kansas professor's bit. Shoot him in the face,
Yeah, big time.
Shows you the difference there.
Yeah. Next, I don't know if this is uplifting, but we'll play it in the background.
I expect nothing less from you.
People, they load up a jar with fish in it, throw it into a spot in the pond or the lake, and then big bass come because they see the fish, but they can't get the fish, and then you throw your lure right over it, and then you catch the bass.
So it's extra fishing. It's like a decoy fishing.
Yeah, it's like when, like the feeders for deer or pigs where you put like corn out and then they come there every day.
Oh, yeah. I know a guy who does that. It's not real hunting.
Yeah, it's not real hunting.
It's
not real fishing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Why don't you just throw a net in the whole water and drag them all out?
Why don't we just electrocute the water instead?
Yeah, we got them all. Nice job.
I agree.
Let's go to the next one. You
know who you are, who's always feeding the deer. You know what you're doing.
We know what you're doing. We know you got worms from eating that raw pork incorrectly. All right, let's go to the birds who are sharing pizza together. This is uplifting.
This is great. Pizza box is empty. Looks like they're on vacation somewhere.
And they're just enjoying themselves.
And they have it like a hand. They're eating pizza like they have a hand. I like that.
Me too.
What kind of bird is that?
It's a cockatoo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have a bird experience?
A little bit.
All right.
I don't have bird experience. I lived with someone who had a bird once.
Yeah.
And then every time you eat, you look closely around the room and you'd see a little like micro feather floating. And then one time I saw like a full feather go like this and then like fully land on my steak.
Disgusting.
And it was disgusting. And then the bird would make loud sounds every 10 minutes, like a smoke detector.
You know who you are too.
But worse. Yeah, you know who you are as well. Mm-hmm. And then our last clip of Uplifting Gold is this young man right here. It's going to go a little long, but that's okay. We deserve it.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I state my case, which I'm certain I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway more. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, and he has not to say the things he truly feels, and a voice of one who kneels.
Oh, yeah. And at the end, they clap.
They do.
Yeah, and he's not even that good at singing.
Yeah, he's not that good, but there's a certain heart to it.
There's like two angles here. There's one where if you're a younger person and then you're doing stuff like that, your like public speaking skills and your like social skills go up.
Yeah.
Because you're not nervous, you're not embarrassed. You can just think, well, I sang that song that time, so now I can go meet a stranger or speak out loud in front of a group.
Yeah.
And that's good. But then there's another angle where people are so chronically online that they don't give a crap about anything in real life because they don't think it even matters.
Those people aren't even real.
So
They're
you
just
just
props for my kick stream. Yeah.
So you can kind of go in that direction where the people aren't even real, nothing matters. This is going to be a social media clip. Online world is more important and better than real world.
Me and you are kind of the opposite, where we go crazy in here. Pete Buttigieg, he's going like this, he's digging around. And then like we're very respectful, never bring it up. And you know, obviously in real life, we're like, oh, that's nice. You enjoy the show? Thank you so much.
You see a gay guy and you go, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
You don't go like, oh, I bet he's
doing this and that. Also, pause. Frank Sinatra, My Way. What a pure, strongly written song. They don't make them like that. That's a certain type of guy that they don't make anymore.
Yeah,
so, sad to see. But hey, Frank had a real golden era.
Big time, big time. All right, that's the end of the clips. We have a couple shout outs. We have a happy anniversary shout out to Kaylee and Chase.
What anniversary do you know?
I think maybe first.
Oh, happy anniversary.
I don't know, but they're big show watchers. They're big fans of the show. Happy anniversary, you guys. And happy birthday to Gabe.
Gabe.
Big time.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Gabe. You guys are the best. Him and his sister and then her husband. Everyone's a huge show watching family.
It's a quad of show watchers. Everybody watches.
Everybody watches. We're very grateful. We love you guys. You're the best. Another bonus land in the books. No.
It's a main episode.
Yeah. Another Fleckus Talks in the books.
Thank you.
There actually isn't going to be a bonus land today, guys. I hate to do that. We're abroad. We're away from the storm. We're dealing with some like blackouts, like power goes in and out, and it's kind of a nightmare. So if you're a bonus lander, tons of backlog of content. And we're going to make it up to you next week with longer bonus lands next week. So don't worry, you're not getting gypped. If you haven't joined bonus land yet, go join. There's hours and hours and hours and hours of content. You're going to love it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice weekend. We will see you on Tuesday. And also, there's not going to be a culture either this week. That'll return next week when we get back to our normal house.
Yep.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Tuesday.
We're controlling the weather.
You're fucked, dude. I'm fucked.